Alright, today I'm out here in the forest along this pile of very ancient wood. This is one tree right here. This is a giant sequoia redwood, and it's been fallen and rotting for probably a long time, and it lived a long time before that. And I'm out in this location to give a little show and tell of these items right here. Alright, so the first item I have here is an Aboriginal Karli from the central desert of Australia, and it's been heavily ochred. You can see the nice reddish hue to the wood. It's also been heat tuned by putting it over the fire and warping it, and you know, doing whatever they wanted to warp it to make it fly straight. And I can see that in terms of the warp on the stick. And it's in beautiful shape. There's not really any edge chipping or anything like that. But this one is real smooth, and it also, you could see the rasp marks. They had a fine rasp when they tooled this, and I can also see right here there's a little place where the hatchet or adze that they were using in order to initially shape it cut in a little more deeply than he wished for. But this is a beautiful stick and quite large. And so it's a classic example of a central desert Karli, and this one is not fluted. They also would make some that are fluted, and I'm going to show you an example of that in a second here. Okay, the second example I have here, this is a woomera, and this particular type of woomera, where it has a kind of a flared shape right here, is called a miru. And it's really neat because they would use this as a multi-tool, and just like the Karli, the Aborigine would pretty much just carry a spear thrower like this, and would carry a pair of Karlis, and they would carry very few other items, and so they were able to survive in the central deserts of Australia with very few items. And this has a lovely curved bowl surface here, and they could mix ochre in here. They could put food in here. They could even dam up one edge and carry a little bit of water. So this had a variety of purposes. You can see the little hardwood spike right here at the tip, and it is bound on with kangaroo sinew. And the whole surface of this instrument has been covered in ochre, so it's a nice red finish. And down here, you can see somewhere where it's gotten some use, and the ochre is worn off. And here at the knob right here, there's remnants of some spinifex resin, which is a resin that the Aborigines would get out of a spinifex grass. And it allowed them to use like a plastic type material, and they could stick that on here and make a nice knob to make it really comfortable, and so that they could use this thing. So they would be able to propel their spears and use this as a really lethal weapon for hunting kangaroo. So very beautiful item, and very neat. Okay, this third item that I got out here today is my favorite. This is a fluted Karli from the central desert of Australia, and this is at least 50 to 60 years old. I could tell that because this does not have any rasp marks on it. This was made using traditional tools, and I don't know how the lighting is here, but you might be able to kind of see on this surface that the entire lower surface has just been flaked by an adze. And when we say an adze, we mean a curved stick. Actually, yeah, thinner than this, but a curved stick that's round, and on each end they would tie a tool. And so on one end they might have a stone blade, or if it was accessible, then they would put a steel blade or some kind of metal if they did have contact with Europeans. But they would tie that on with kangaroo sinew. And on the other end they would put a finer point made out of a kangaroo's tooth, perhaps a fragment of rock or something like that. And then again, if contact with Europeans, then they could use a little piece of round steel like a nail or something like that. Well, they would cut these again out of a bent branch of mulga wood or other desert hardwood, and the grain of the wood runs with the curve of the stick. That's how you know that you have an authentic Aboriginal stick. The grain, or that's one way you should know, is that the grain of the wood should run with the curve. And the reason they did that is they needed these to be strong when they hunted, and so that's what's featured here on this one, as well as on the other Karli that I brought out today. But on the lower surface you have this flaking, and it's actually very shiny and finely polished, And so they would use a stone, fine stone, to polish that, and I can see the polish marks where the scratch marks are in here, and they just worked in this direction as they did that. But you can also see the underlying grain runs this way. But they could also polish it with sand, but this is really nicely polished, and you can see that there's been ochre on here. It's got the reddish hue to it, which is quite beautiful. Allowed them to find the stick more easily after throwing it quite a distance, because the Aboriginal Karli like this could hunt emu at ranges out to about 60 meters plus, and so the range of this stick is even further than that. If anything, they were just being held back by their accuracy at being able to actually hit their prey. So the fluting on here extends from near the tip, and you leave the tip unfluted. It's a good thing to do in order to make this a little bit more aerodynamic, to keep its spin going, although many Aboriginal Karlis do have the fluting go quite to the tip. This one doesn't feature that. And then on this end they have a little cap that's not fluted you can hold on to here, and so the fluting runs through here, and you can see the darkened color on both sides here from, I don't know, I'd like to imagine that was just the sweat from the hand of the Aborigine that carried this once upon a time.